In the heart of an ancient kingdom, where marble palaces touched the sky and golden banners waved above silent courtyards, lived a young girl named Nefitari. Her journey began at the age of 9. In a world where power was worshipped, beauty was a currency, and innocence rarely survived the weight of royal ambition. This is the story of how a child, taken from her ordinary life, rose into the inner circle of a kingdom built on secrets only to discover that even royalty could become trapped between loyalty, faith, and survival. From the moment Nefitari's father delivered her to the temple, her world changed forever. He was a low-ranking official, burdened by a debt he could never repay. The temple offered him one path: surrendered his daughter to begin service under the guardianship of the priests. Nefitari, unaware of the magnitude of this decision, walked through the sunlit courtyard as the priests carefully shaved her head, symbolizing her entrance into a life of devotion. The ritual was serene, but its meaning was profound. She was no longer a daughter, but a servant of the divine. Life within the temple walls was disciplined yet structured. Nefitari learned chants, rituals, and duties alongside other girls her age. Some were proud to be chosen. Others longed for the world beyond the high stone walls. But Nefitari was different. She held a quiet strength, a steady calmness that made her stand out. Her devotion was not loud. It was gentle, sincere, and steady. And it was this rare tranquility that caught the attention of the high priestess. Marisha saw potential where others saw a frightened child. She took Nefitari under her mentorship, guiding her with patience instead of pressure. Years passed, and the girl who once trembled in the echoing hallways began to carry herself with grace. She mastered rituals, learned to interpret the sacred symbols, and understood the delicate politics between the palace and the temple. Her presence became known among the nobles, who visited for blessings and ceremonial offerings. Whispers about her calm energy traveled quickly, eventually reaching the queen herself. Queen Naila was a woman of vision, elegance, and silent burden. Her life, though filled with luxuries, was isolated. Trust was a rare commodity in a palace, where every smile had a motive. When she heard of Nefitari, she requested her presence not as a servant, but as a companion. At 13, Nefitari left the temple for the first time since childhood, stepping into a world of shimmering courts, musicians, diplomats, and endless expectations. The palace welcomed her with both admiration and skepticism. Some saw her as the queen's new favorite. Others saw her as a potential threat. But Nefitari viewed the palace as another maze, one she needed to navigate calmly, just as she had the temple. Her bond with Queen Naila deepened quickly. The queen found comfort in Nefitari's honesty, an unusual but refreshing quality in the royal halls. Nefitari became her reader, her advisor in small matters, and eventually her emotional anchor. However, the palace was not a place of peace. Behind the ivory doors, shadows moved silently. Power struggles between ministers grew fierce. The king's declining health led to intensified competition among the royal council. In this environment of tension, Nefitari was watched more closely than she realized. Her influence on the queen made her a target for jealousy and suspicion. By the time Nefitari reached 17, she had developed a reputation for wisdom far beyond her age. Yet with wisdom came a responsibility she never asked for. The temple viewed her presence in the palace as a bridge, but the palace viewed her as a reminder of the temple's reach. She stood between two worlds, with both expecting her loyalty. Queen Naila relied on her deeply. Whenever political storms rose, Nefitari was the quiet mind offering clarity. Whenever rumors spread, it was Nefitari who brought calm reasoning. But as her influence grew, so did resentment among certain ministers who saw her purity as a form of power. They feared what they could not control. Whispers began circulating, whispers intended to damage her reputation. Some accused her of manipulating the queen. Others believed her presence disturbed the balance of power. Every step she took caused another ripple. Yet Nefitari refused to be shaken. She continued serving with sincerity, choosing kindness over conflict and wisdom over fear. Her devotion to Queen Naila never wavered. But everything changed the day the king passed away. The palace transformed overnight. Where once diplomacy ruled, now ambition roared. Ministers battled over succession. Factions formed in secret. The queen, overwhelmed by grief and political pressure, became increasingly dependent on Nefitari's stability. Because of this, Nefitari was drawn into decisions far beyond a companion's role. She attended confidential meetings, witnessed negotiations, and stood beside the queen as the kingdom struggled to maintain order. She learned how fragile power truly was not a crown of gold, but a crown of responsibility, fear, and endless expectations. As turmoil intensified, the temple demanded her return, fearing she had become entangled too deeply in royal politics. But the queen refused to release her, insisting she was essential to stability. For the first time in her life, Nefitari faced a crossroads: remain loyal to the queen who trusted her entirely, or return to the temple that raised her. Her decision shaped the fate of the kingdom. She stayed. This choice sparked outrage among several ministers, giving them the opportunity they had long awaited. They publicly accused her of overstepping her role. They questioned her past, her intentions, even her devotion. To protect the queen, Nefitari accepted the accusations quietly, refusing to defend herself in the public eye. Her silence became both her shield and her downfall. The queen fought for her, but pressure from the council was relentless. The palace needed someone to blame for its instability, and Nefitari became the easiest target: a young woman without rank, without a family to protect her, and without political alliances. One quiet morning, under the soft glow of dawn, Nefitari was escorted back to the temple, not as a respected companion, but as a reminder of the palace's authority. The walk took her through the same gates she had entered as a child. But this time she walked with a calm acceptance, understanding that her worth was not determined by her position, but by her choices. At the temple, she was welcomed with mixed emotions. Some saw her as a fallen figure. Others saw her as a symbol of resilience. She returned to her rituals, teaching younger girls how to read sacred scripts, guiding them with the same gentleness Marisha once showed her. And yet, the queen never forgot her. Nefitari's legacy became a quiet legend spoken softly in palace hallways, remembered by temple apprentices, preserved in stories of loyalty, wisdom, and silent bravery. She may not have worn a crown, but her influence touched a kingdom. Her courage reshaped lives. Her choices protected a queen. In the end, Nefitari did not become a ruler or a figure of power. She became something far greater: a voice of integrity in a world driven by ambition, a light that refused to go out even when surrounded by shadows. Her story reminds us that greatness is not measured by rank or reward, but by the strength to remain truthful when the world demands silence. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more tales of forgotten history. See you next time.